Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the 40 Acres Live Postgame Show here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We are over at the Big 12 channel and the SG1 Sports Texas channel. So hit that like button, subscribe down below. It really, really helps out the channel. We're trying to grow this brand here, guys. So please help us out and do that. Texas survives once again. But before we get into that, if you're going to go to a Texas game, a college football game, a college basketball game, go over to ticketsmarter.com, type in code BIG for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more. Type in code BIG20 for a purchase for $20 off a purchase of $300 or more. It really helps out the channel, guys. It really helps out your wallet. It really helps out everyone involved, so why not do it? Next up, go over to the SEC channel, subscribe. Texas, Oklahoma, moving to the SEC. So this channel will be moving over to the SEC channel. So go over there, like and subscribe there. We'll be there at the SEC channel. And then while you're here, subscribe to the Big 12 channel. Be here the rest of let's see, I think Texas is going to play 3 games at least. So we'll be here for those 3 games. Hopefully we play more. I'm not going to say if we continue to play like this, we probably won't play more because honestly, the rest of the Big 12 is pretty garbage. And if with our C game, we continue to win. So I'm just going to keep saying that. Hopefully the C game keeps giving us a passing grade like it does in school, and we get away with it because we have not been playing well recently, but we're getting away with it. In the second half, TCU outscored us 20-3. 20-3. Not good enough in the second half, but we won the game nonetheless, so it does not matter, and we might as well jump in. Texas survives once again, 29-26 versus TCU the last time we will play the Horned Frogs. And just it's just hard to understand. It really is. We're the better team by far in the first half. Probably should have been up more 26-6. Should have been like 31-6, honestly. And then we just don't do anything in the second half. Very vanilla on offense. We got tired on defense, and the front four were no longer getting pressure. And when that happens, our secondary continues not to be good enough to make plays on the ball and get stops. We're going to go over some stats real quick. Quinn Ewers, 22 of 33, 317 yards, 14.4 yards per attempt or completion. No, it is per attempt. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 14.4 yards per attempt is elite numbers, guys. That is elite. That's insane by Quinn Ewers. And that's the problem I have. He did not throw the ball enough in the second half. And no offense to CJ Baxter, with Jonathan Brooks not in there, you have to throw the ball more in the second half. I like CJ Baxter, but CJ Baxter is not Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is the best running back in college football. Jonathan Brooks is going to be a late first, mid-second round draft pick in the NFL draft when he comes out after this year. Jonathan Brooks is a guy that I was laughed at for saying was a dark horse Heisman contender, guys. And that's exactly what this man is. Jonathan Brooks is a dark horse Heisman contender. He will no longer be in New York because I think he's going to miss some time. With that injury that I saw, he's probably got a high ankle sprain or it is some type of knee damage. I'm praying it's a high ankle sprain. I do have some experience with high ankle sprains. I did suffer a grade 2 high ankle sprain playing basketball, and I wasn't 100%, but I was able to do most of what I can do after 3 weeks. At 3 weeks, he should be able to go. So that would put him in line to play the Big 12 championship game. And if we were able to make the college football playoff, you'd definitely be ready for that. But if it's a knee injury, like an ACL or LC or anything like that, he's going to miss the rest of the season. If it's a meniscus, he could probably be back for the college football playoff. He wouldn't be back for the Big 12 championship game at that point. But the guy, again, 21 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then he also added some receiving yards. He had 74 yards receiving and should have had a touchdown. He tripped up. The guy, he's the best running back in college football. Like I said, he was a dark horse Heisman contender for me because people asked who could win the Heisman on this team. I said Jonathan Brooks. I got laughed at, and I was right. He's a good enough guy to where if he was healthy for the whole season, he probably would have ended up top 7 in Heisman voting. He's not. That's not going to happen anymore, unfortunately, since I do expect him to miss time. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, it's just a regular ankle sprain. He could be back next week at that point. But again, guys, I think this team's good enough to where if we play our C game the rest of the year, we'll beat the teams left on our schedule. I mean, I watched the Texas Tech Kansas game. Kansas almost beat Texas Tech with a third string quarterback. If they have Jason Bean in that game, they beat Texas Tech by probably 2 to 3 scores. So we'll beat Tech. It comes down to Iowa State, honestly. Iowa State's a big game next week. If we beat Iowa State, we're going to beat Tech. So That's the last game on the schedule that I think we can lose, and I think if we play like we did tonight, we'll still win the game because Iowa State is even less effective on the offensive side of the ball than TCU is. They're a little bit better defensively, but not up much. But let's go back into it, guys. Xavier Worthy, 10 receptions, 137 yards. I said he would have to. I'm pretty good at predicting Texas. I really am. That's the one team I'm locked in, obviously being a fan. And I said you got to get him at least 10 touches. He had to exactly 10 touches in this game, 10 receptions, 137 yards, 0 touchdowns. And then A.D. Mitchell showed up on the same night, 3 receptions, 61 yards, the one reception there to seal it. And that was my issue, honestly, in the second half. TCU was actually one of the teams in the Big 12 that decided to play man-to-man coverage versus Texas, and we didn't throw it enough. Quinn Ewers should have thrown this ball 45 times, if I'm being honest with you. Without Jonathan Brooks, he definitely should have 45 times because if you're going to play man-to-man, as Xavier Worthy's stats show, he couldn't be covered man-to-man, and as we know, he can't be covered man-to-man, and neither can A.D. Mitchell. These guys are going to be constantly open if you're going to play man-to-man. The only other team that said, hey, we're going to line up and play man-to-man was Alabama, and you saw what we did versus them, and Alabama has a better secondary than TCU, especially now. Back then, it was probably slightly better. Now it's way better. But when we played them, it was still a better secondary. TCU's got some guys, like I said, Bud Clark, Nook Bradford, and Josh Newton are good players. They're going to play in the NFL, but they don't have anyone like Terrion Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. So if you're going to play man, there's no team in this country, in my opinion, that can play man and beat us one-on-one. Like Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell are going to beat those guys. So they should have thrown more. We didn't for whatever reason. Sarkisian said after the game, I hope we learned from this, that we let him back in the game. No, you didn't learn from this. You know how I know you didn't learn from this? You did the exact same thing versus Kansas State, and you did the exact same thing versus Houston. Texas has not put a full game together, guys, at all this year. They haven't really, under Steve Sarkisian's tenure, put together many full games. I think Baylor was a full game this year. I'm trying to think of some other full games. Oklahoma, last year was a full game. There's maybe 3 to 4 full games under Steve Sarkisian's tenure. But the problem with this team is they either start out hot and let the team creep back in, or they start out poorly and then end up climbing back in the game and sometimes winning, sometimes not. But there's no other way. They don't play a consistent game. This game should have been, I said 41-20. It should have been ended up something like that. Should have ended up something like 41-20, easy win. Instead, they outscore us 20-3 in the second half. And again, I'm not going to say if we play like this, we're going to lose, because we continue to play like this and we win. Now, I agree. If we play like this versus a very good team, like if we get in the college football play and play this exact way, we'll lose. But the thing is, I don't think we'll play like this because, one, we do show up in big games, especially with our starters. Alabama, case in point. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't see us winning a national championship. I think if we get in the college football playoff, we could win the first game. We're not winning 2 games because I don't think we're consistent enough. I don't. And by the way, not complaining about that. Where I've been as a Texas fan most of my life, I don't remember the good times. I had 2005. I wasn't even allowed to watch that game because I was 7 years old. So I had to go to bed, get waken up by my mom at the end of the freaking game to be told, hey, Texas won the game. And then the other one was 2009, where I was depressed a week and a half later because Colt McCoy didn't even get to play. Those are my 2 amazing memories. That's it. That's all I got. And if Texas were to get in a college football playoff and win one game, I'm 100% cool with that. I think it's a shame because I think in general college football is down this year, and I think this Texas team is very good. And I think if they play to their potential consistently, they could beat anybody. I think they could beat Georgia. They could definitely beat a Michigan. Michigan isn't explosive enough offensively where they could keep up with us if we played at our A+ level. They're not. The only team that is, like, if everyone played their A level, honestly, guys, I think Georgia and maybe Ohio State. But the problem is those teams are more consistent. They're more consistent than us. Some people will say Washington. Yeah, Washington can beat us explosively, but the problem is they wouldn't be able to stop us. I'm talking about on both sides of the ball. But if we're going to play like this, there's about 10 to 12 teams that could beat us, honestly. After that, there isn't, because, again, college football's down, and I think this Texas team is very talented. Like they said today, our front 4, it's a top 3 unit in football. It really is. And in the middle 2 guys are the best. Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat are the best pair of defensive tackles in college football. And might be one of the best duos ever in college football. That's how good they are. They're good. But T'Vondre Sweat's going to be a first-round pick. Byron Murphy's probably going to be, if he comes out this year, he'll be a second or third-round pick. If he comes out next year, he'll be a first-round pick. It's just disappointing. I want to see consistency, and I don't know if I'm going to get to see it. And the problem is, if Steve Sarkisian can't be consistent with this group, who's he going to be consistent with? Because I don't see a team in the future that's going to be as talented. I really don't. You're going to have two guys on the at the defensive tackle position that are going to be highly drafted. You're going to have Ethan Burke, who I think when he does come out is going to be pretty damn highly drafted. I think Barron Sorrell is probably a 4th or 5th round guy. I think Jalen Ford's a 2nd or 3rd round guy. I think Anthony Hill's a 1st round pick when he comes out. I think Terrence Brooks will play in the NFL. Ryan Watts for sure is going to play in the NFL. The safeties are the only ones that probably aren't going to play in the NFL. I think Catalan will get drafted, but he's not going to be highly drafted. I think Thompson will probably get signed to a practice squad or something, but that's really it. But then running back position, I think our top 2 running backs are going to play in the NFL. I think our tackles on offense are going to play in the NFL. And I think Devon Campbell at the end of the day is probably going to play in the NFL guard. You have an NFL quarterback with 2 NFL wide receivers and an NFL tight end. So are you really going to say that you're ever going to have a team this talented? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's going to be hard to do. I think you have the 2nd best tight end in college football with 2 top 15 wide receivers. That's hard to replicate, guys, and I just feel like we're gonna end up wasting it. And maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm saying we're wasting it in the grand scheme of things, but is it wasting if we win a Big 12 championship? I guess not, but I just see more there. I see more juice. I see more juice. I think right now we're squeezing about 75% of that juice out of the orange. That's what I think we're doing. I don't think it's crazy to say this team, if they got everything out of it, should be hoisting that national championship trophy. I don't. And I'm not going to apologize for that. But it's also hard because I know where we started from and I know what I've seen in my lifetime. And just winning a Big 12 championship is a huge jump for this program. It really is. But it reminds me, I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and it really reminds me of Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook getting there and never winning it, and then trading James Harden and never getting back. These times don't come around very often. And you can't expect it to keep coming around because there's only been 2 teams in my lifetime where it keeps coming around, and that's Alabama, and Georgia seems to be on that path. So take advantage of the time that you do have and the opportunities you do have. And right now, Texas is not doing that. And it's frustrating. And it just continued to be frustrating. But again, we're 9-1. So I don't know where I'm at, guys. I would love for you guys to comment on this video if you want, or comment afterwards, because I want to know, am I being unfair? Am I being unrealistic? I don't think I am. I think I'm caught in this middle place of I am thankful that we're probably going to win the Big 12 championship. There's a really good case of that. I think we're going to at least be there, but I feel like there's more. I just feel like there's more for this team. I really do. And maybe at the end of the day, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I've watched everyone else play, and I watched Michigan and Penn State did, and I'm thinking, if Texas plays their A game, they can beat them. You know why? Because I saw them play their A game down in Tuscaloosa against a not good Alabama team and beat them by 10 points. And by the way, they didn't even play an A game in that game. I thought that was a B-plus game. Like, if they played an A game in that game, they beat them by 14-17. They're the only team, like Dusty Dvorak said, that had ever beaten Nick Saban by double-digit points at home. Ever. At his time in Alabama. Ever. You should be beating TCU by 3 to 4 scores. You should be beating TCU by 3 to 4 scores. And the first half was good enough. The first half was, again, a B-minus performance, and you're up by 23, right? No, you're up by 20. So just repeat that and beat them by 30 to 40. That's all you had to do is repeat the effort that you gave in the first half, and the first half effort was a B, in my opinion. So it's just very, very frustrating. It was like a B half with a D half, you get a C game. That's what I thought this was again, another C game. And in the past, Texas loses C games. That's the only difference between this team and not the teams of the past. The other teams in the past weren't as talented and weren't coached as well in situational football, because at the end of that game, Tom Herman or Charlie Strong would have done something very stupid there instead of going to A.D. Mitchell one-on-one, and they would have got the ball back, probably got kicked a field goal, went overtime and lost. That's the only difference, where Steve Sarkisian squeaks out a win. But there's still that next step. There's one more step for this team to take, and that's being consistent in their greatness. It's the last step. Once that piece is put in that puzzle, this program will be unlocked to the point where Mac Brown had it. It's the last piece, guys. And it's just frustrating that we're so close. We're so close, but it's also the hardest piece to get. That's what makes Nick Saban. That's what makes Urban Meyer. That's what makes Kirby Smart. That's what makes Dabo Sweeney. Is these guys get consistency game in and game out. Usually they'll have one game a year where they look like where they do this, and then the rest of the game it's consistency. And we just haven't done that. We can put about a half together where we look really damn good. We cannot put a game, and it's frustrating. I can't say it any more than that, guys. Any more clearly. It's very frustrating. Jumping to the comments. Why did Sark not let? I just talked about this Texas 2005. Why did Sark not let Quinn throw the ball in the second half, playing not to lose? Got TCU 100%. And Steve Sarkisian continues to do this. It's weird because he relies on the running game at points when he shouldn't, and then he doesn't rely on it when he should. Case in point, third down, fourth down, anytime, third and short or fourth and short, you have the best running back in college football. Hand it off to him. That guy every time is going to avoid at least one tackler and fall forward for 1 yard. He would get 90% of the third and ones and fourth and ones. And we just refuse to do it. But then guess what? In the second half, after you've shown in the first half, oh, they can't cover us one-on-one, and they were trying to play man. They played little zone in the first half. It was basically all man, and Josh Newton was getting cooked by Xavier Worthy, and A.D. Mitchell was cooking the other guy. And then when Josh Newton was on him, he was cooking him too. We just decided not to throw. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's this simple. What we saw in the Michigan-Penn State game, if they prove to you over and over again that they cannot stop the type of play you're running, run it every fucking time. Every fucking time run that play. I don't care if you run it 37 times in a row, which Michigan basically did to Penn State in the second half. If you can't stop it, it's not my job to help you out by changing the play or because I'm bored or because I want to show how smart I am as an offensive coordinator. Play the play that works consistently over and over again until they stop it consistently. Make them stop it at least twice before you change. If it works a couple times in a row, that's what makes like great coaches great. I see that all the time. That guy from Michigan, he should honestly, if he gets a head coaching job just based on this game, he probably should, because I don't see that enough from coaches where it's like, fuck you. You can't stop this. Here it is again. You can't stop this. Here it is again. You can't stop this. Here it is again. That's what I liked the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady era. Indianapolis Colts game comes to mind. They rushed for like 300 yards in that game, and they just refused to throw the football because why would you? If you're getting 5 to 6 yards to carry, screw you. We're going to run it down your fucking throat. It's the same thing with throwing. If your quarterback's averaging 14.4 yards per completion, throw the ball consistently over and over again. That's all you have to do. That's what infuriates me. Sark, he's a genius. There's no doubt about that. Everyone that watches him says it, and I agree with it. The problem is he gets way too cool for himself. He just refuses to stay with the stuff that's bread and butter and works. And I don't understand that. I never will. It's like a short man complex where you have to prove yourself. You don't have to prove yourself. Everyone knows you're a really good fucking offensive coordinator. Just do what works. And this team is talented enough against teams like this where you can kill them. I agree with you. You're going to have to get crazy and switch it up when you play Alabama. If you play to Georgia, if you play to Michigan versus Ohio State, you can they could have run go balls half the time versus TCU and put up 500 yards of offense. Quinn Ewers could have run for 400 yards on 30 attempts, had 3 or 4 touchdowns because they can't cover us one-on-one. Do I agree you can't do that versus other teams? 100%. But guess what? You're not playing those other teams today. Worry about them if you play them, if you have the opportunity to play them. But if you continue to outthink yourself, you're going to cost us. Now, again, it's hard for me to believe at this point that he's going to cost us in the regular season. I think in a Big 12 championship he could, because those are better teams than we're going to play the rest of the season. But we played a C game versus Kansas State, we won. We played a C game versus TCU, we won. If we play a C game versus Iowa State, we'll probably win. A C game to me is exactly what we've seen the last 2 weeks, and if we play that, we'll probably beat Iowa State. And the thing is, it's hard for me to say we're going to lose to Texas Tech when we have everything on the line to play for. So that's what I'm saying. Next week is it. If we win next week, we're going to be in the Big 12 championship no matter what. Even if we did lose Texas Tech, we're not going to lose them if that does happen. But it's just very frustrating. Texas 2005 again. Agreed. Why run the Red Cat at Brooks can easily? 100%. It's outsmarting yourself, and that's really what it comes down to for Steve Sarkisian. Right now, he is his own worst enemy. He is his own worst enemy, and I don't know if there's going to be change there, I will say this. There's been change in his tenure throughout. We used to start off really slow. That's really no longer the case. We started out actually pretty damn good. We used to finish really bad last early part of this year and last year. That started to change, but now it's coming back. So I think he can do it. He's got to prove it though. He's got to prove it. And next week, honestly, guys, if we play our game, we should beat Iowa State 38 to 45, like 38 to 45 points for us, and they should have uh, 10 to 20 points. Should be like 45-10, 45-20, somewhere in that range. They're not good. They're not, I shouldn't say, they're not a great football team. They shouldn't be able to compete with us. We should beat them by 3 to 4 scores, especially with the offense they have. They do not have a good offense. Their defense is good, and I respect them. By the way, our streak got broken tonight. We're no longer one of 3 or 4 teams that have put up 30 in every game because of an extra point that we missed, but a bad snap that caused us to miss an extra point. Or bad hold. Sorry, I'm not going to blame that on the snapper, but just overall, guys, it's very frustrating. This team is way too talented, and going into the SEC, you can't do shit like this. You can't, because instead of playing a TCU team, you're going to be playing in, let's say, a Florida team who has way more talent. And if they play up their talent and we play down, they would beat us. Like if you played Florida tonight and they played their A game and we play our C game, they would beat us because they have the talent to beat us. TCU doesn't. TCU has one guy on offense, Savion Williams. Amani Bailey's pretty good. Jared Wiley. They have 3 guys that are probably going to play in the NFL on their offense. That's really it. And that's why. Florida probably has, I don't even know much about Florida, but I bet they have 4 to 5 just because they recruit better. That's the minimum you're going to have. So it's just frustrating, very frustrating. This team has a lot. Again, I'm not going to complain because, guys, 2 years ago, we were talking about 5-7 and not even going bowling. There's a legitimate chance we play in the College Football Playoff. I'm watching Oregon and USC right now. I'm hoping USC can beat Oregon because then that basically, if USC beats Oregon, that eliminates them and hopefully beat Washington. And then that eliminates the Pac-12, and it comes down to basically the Ohio State-Michigan winner would be in. So that's one. What is the other team that would be in? The SEC winner would be probably being at that point. And then Florida State and then us. So we'll see. Rod Adams, we could have put up 50 tonight if we decided to throw the ball in the second half. Again, it's going to be big. I really hope Jonathan Brooks isn't out for more than a couple weeks. I hope it's a high ankle sprain. If it's a high ankle sprain, he'll be back for the Big 12 championship game. If it's knee, he's probably going to be out the whole year, and that would suck, guys. We got robbed of an all-time type season of a guy that's only going to get to play, what would it be, like start at 7-8 games at Texas, basically. He started 7 or 8 games, and he won't be here anymore. That's really sad because I love watching him play, and I've been high on him for a year and a half. I'm going to go try and find the video and clip it because I was on that Jonathan Brooks train before anybody in the country, anywhere, period. I have a clip from a year and a half ago telling Mark that Jonathan Brooks was going to put up better numbers than Bijan Robinson, and he was on his way to. And I said he's not better than Bijan, but he's going to be playing behind a better offensive line in a really good system, and he's a very good running back. And I compared him to, I think it's a great comp. I compared to Le'Veon Bell. I think that's exactly. He's patient and he's good with the ball in his hands, just like Le'Veon Bell was. And that guy's a stud. And whoever gets him in the NFL, honestly, he might have a better NFL career than Bijan because Bijan got drafted to a really shitty situation, and Jonathan Brooks is very special too. So that combination, I think there's a possibility. Now do you play Blue? I think you have to. Blue was in there for like 4 or 5 plays, but they never handed it off to him. It was always a throw. Neither of them are good as Jonathan Brooks, but I think in passing situations, you're going to have to Blue's going to have to be the one. He's more explosive, better with his hands, and he avoids tacklers better. CJ Baxter, the problem with him is he gets hit one time, he could be out for the game. So it's going to be interesting, guys. There's a lot of issues with losing him. I think he's our best offensive player. It sucks. But again, do we need him for Iowa State? No. Do we need him for Texas Tech? No. Do we need him for the Big 12 championship game? Probably. Do we need him for the College Football Playoff? Hell yes. We're not winning a game if we get to the College Football Playoff without Jonathan Brooks. That's how damn good that man is. And he'll be back if it's a high ankle sprain for that, 100%. There's no chance a high ankle sprain keeps him out 7-8 weeks. Like I said, I've had one before, and it was grade 2, so I don't know what a grade – I'm terrible about this because I was right in the middle, so I don't know. I don't know if a grade 3 or 1 is worse, but whatever one's worse, that would probably cost you 5 weeks for someone like Jonathan Brooks, maybe 4 weeks. For me, a grade 2 cost me 3, and he's in better shape than I am. I'm in decent shape. I'm not Jonathan Brooks shape, though, and so I would assume he'll probably be back 2 to 4 weeks if it's an ankle sprain. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, Ron, it's going to be interesting. I like Jaden Blue. I like him a lot, but he's not Jonathan Brooks. He really isn't. And he's more explosive, I will say that, which is crazy to say because Jonathan Brooks is pretty explosive. But he doesn't. Jonathan Brooks is consistently 4 or 5 yards, and then bam, he hits you with 50 to 70 yards. So just sucks. It really does. He's like him and Jatavian Sanders like complete the puzzle. I like A.D. Mitchell and I like Xavier Worthy, but those two guys really helped complete that puzzle, especially with Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers actually looked pretty good today after that underthrown ball, which was really weird. I've never really seen him underthrow a ball. Can I blame his shoulder? Yeah, I'll blame his shoulder a little bit, but that was weird. He also threw it inside. You should never throw it inside. You should always throw that to the outside. But the next pass he threw to Xavier Worthy, great. And by the way, have to shout this out. Jordan Whittington missed the tackle on the original interception, ran the guy down after getting up on the missed tackle, and then knocks the ball loose. That was a huge play because it was only I think it was 7-6 at that point, and then we went in and scored made it 14-6. If he doesn't do that, TCU could have taken the lead. So great play by Jordan Whittington. Doesn't get enough credit. He will be a guy that plays better in the NFL than he does in college because he's going to be very good in the slot, especially if he goes to the right system. I'm thinking of him as a New England Patriot. He would absolutely eat in that system. Tom Brady would have loved playing with that guy. He's a hard worker. He's a good route runner. He's physical. He's strong. He's smart. He does. He's obviously doesn't have the stats of Devin Duvernay, but that's who he reminds me of, like a guy that didn't get enough love. I love that guy. He's awesome. He's going to be one of those guys I'm going to remember forever just for his hustle, heart, and grit. So it was awesome to see him make that play. Overall, the defense, Byron Murphy, Devondre Sweat, amazing again. Jahdae Barron, good again. Jalen Ford, good again. Ryan Watts played pretty good. The other corner position, Terrence Brooks has potential, and he plays good in certain areas. Then other plays, he just looks lost, honestly. The safeties, again, in coverage are not great, and that is the weakness. But other than that, you saw too, by the way, second half, Jahdae Barron, I think, was shaken up. They put Jalen Gilbo in, and that's when the plays started happening. Jahdae Barron, and I've said this for a year, he is our best player on defense. He'll probably get drafted later than he should, and he'll be in the NFL for 10 plus years as a nickel because that guy is damn good. He's going to make a lot of money in the NFL. He's very, very good. He's a good run stuffer. He's good in the open field making tackles. And that's how he got hurt. He hit Jared Wiley, and Jared Wiley's a big man. He's a very good player, very underrated, and I love that guy too. Again, Texas wins 29-26. Thank you guys for joining me. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Please, guys, right now, hit the like button, subscribe down below. If you're on the Big 12 channel, go over to the Texas channel, hit that like button, and subscribe down below. If you're on the Texas channel, go over to the Big 12 channel and hit that like button and subscribe down below. Guys, every Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern time, I'm going to be here the rest of the year previewing the next week or that week's game and also breaking down the last week's game. So please show up 7:30 Eastern time Wednesday. I will have a new show name for you. We're going to make it more clear that it's a Longhorn show, the 40 acres. Most people don't understand that. So we're going to make it more clear. I'm brainstorming a couple ideas. We'll see which one sticks. And that's the one I'll come up with Wednesday, and nothing will change. I'm going to try to also be here in the off season every Wednesday because I want to grow this channel and this brand for Mark and SG1. So please do this, guys. Please help me. Share it, like it, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. Texas, again, wins 29-26. I'll hit you with this, and then I'll probably get out of here. Promo code BIG for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more, and then Big 20 for $20 off a purchase of $300 or more at ticketsmarter.com. Thank you guys for that. Texas wins 29-26. Next up, Iowa State names. We will preview that game and break down this game in more depth and detailed and not just a little post-game reaction / rant with you guys. I enjoy my time here. As always, hit that like button, subscribe down below. As always, horns up, guys. We are 9-1. We're not a perfect team. But hopefully we're getting there, guys. Hopefully we're getting there because I think there's a lot of potential here for growth, and I'm excited about it. So hook them, guys. Join me and throw them horns up. Thank you.